Top 10 scary SCP creatures you thought weren't real. I don't know what SCP stands for, but let's get right into it, you heard?
Thought these bad boys weren't real. I mean, there's new ones all the time, and there's no way that this many supernatural things could exist in one place without someone finding out. Or are some of these real and the SCP Foundation is just so good at their job because they keep everything locked away? Hello again, Most Amazing Top 10 family. I'm your host, Jada Rain, and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Today I'm going to be going through the SCP Foundation once again to bring you the top 10 scary SCP creatures you thought weren't real, but are real. Well, probably not, but it's still fun to speculate. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell, and stick around until the end of the list because I'm going to be answering some questions from my Instagram inbox. If you want me to answer your question, you can hit me up through the gram, 038. Let's start off this list with something crazy. This is a new SCP for me, and it has been nicknamed the cloning tree. Anything you throw at this tree will get cloned. If you want two dogs, throw one of your poochies at this thing. You want more beer? Throw some beer on this bad boy. I wonder if liquids would work. Like, could you pour water onto this tree and have it clone water, and then you could have more clean water for all the people in the world? That would be amazing. Well, here's the thing. There are rumors that there are more resources in Antarctica than any other place in the world. So what if they got this tree up there and that thing is just hiding up there, juicing out a bunch of stuff that they will use?
How would that work though? Because you would need to uproot the tree, and then by then the tree would die, right? Unless you got seeds, but I thought this was just a one tree. Either way, that's cap.
Resources later to dish out to the whole planet. Or the Illuminati is using this to make their grand army to take over the world. Coming in at number 9, we have SCP-811. What's going on down under the sea? Do we really know? It seems like every year there's some new strange creature that's been found underwater, and we have no idea how many of them there actually are, or if they will try to come to the surface and destroy our whole planet. They could start polluting the air the way we've been polluting the water. But we are already doing that, so we might not even notice. But the mysteries underwater can make this SCP real, because this SCP is basically a mermaid that is chilling down underwater with some green scales. With all the crazy stuff going on in the world, I would not be surprised to find out that mermaids are real. I mean, the CIA just announced that UFOs are real, so that could mean that aliens are real, and that is just the info that they have gave us. There could be aliens already on the planet that are hanging out with mermaids and all of watching The Office as much as humans. That would be hilarious. Coming in number 8, we have SCP-457. This SCP is insane. If it was left to its own devices, it would cover the world in fire, and we would all be cooked to death and slowly die. That doesn't sound like the way I want to die. I was hoping I could go out in an ice cream eating accident while swimming around in millions of dollars. But this SCP starts out as a little flame, and then it consumes things, and it will get bigger and bigger until it's about the size of a person, and then it will split into two and continue to spread. Which makes me think, how are stars created? They're massive balls of fire. Maybe there's a bunch of SCPs floating around in space, and they keep consuming things until they grow to a massive size. Maybe the sun will consume Mercury one day and then split into two, and it'll get so hot we'll all be burned to death before I can have my billion-dollar ice cream accident. Maybe I'm just stretching a little bit for this one.
Over COVID, bro. Damn, that was already. Damn, that was further. 2016 was a great.
Type SCP-1 into the SCP Foundation, you will get a list of a bunch of different SCPs. No one really knows what SCP-1 is, and everyone has a different opinion as to what SCP-1 is. So, it could be anything, dude. Is your cup acting weird? Could be SCP-1. Did you get a bad haircut? That could be SCP-1. Did you have a weird dream where you got casted in a movie with Jennifer Aniston and the two of you became friends? That literally could be SCP-1 just chilling in your brain doing some weird stuff. Because this SCP has so many variables, it might be walking around the world right now. Basically, you should always be looking over your shoulder because this SCP could be real and the Illuminati is always watching. Coming in at number 6, we have SCP-2059. I mean, we already talked about things at the bottom of the ocean. This could easily be down there, sucking up a bunch of life, absorbing things into its massive body. If you don't know about this SCP, it's a massive blob of organic material. If you touch it, it will absorb you into it and you will become one with the blob. You'll be dead, but it'll use your body to become larger. I wouldn't be surprised if something like this was at the bottom of the ocean. Coming in at number 5, we have SCP-106, one of the most famous SCPs. It's terrifying on every level. This thing is terrifying to look at. It's an old man whose body is decaying. It's super strong. It eats people. It will disembowel you, and it can teleport. Also, it has a pocket dimension that it takes stuff to, like people that it keeps for food. So this thing could be chilling in its pocket dimension right now, and we wouldn't even know. Well, that's terrifying to think about. Coming in at number 4, we have SCP-001J. This one is one of the most stressful SCPs I have ever read about. Just thinking about it makes my anxiety soar through the roof. SCP-001J is just a button. That's it. What's the big deal? Well, if you press this button, it will bring the end of the world. It will actually cause the world to collapse onto itself. It's speculated that pressing the button will restart the universe or end existence. That doesn't really sound very fun. On top of all this, for some reason, when people are around the button, they have the urge to press the button. I don't know how strong the urge is, but it's strong enough that this thing is locked away at the bottom of the ocean with robotic guards all around it that will kill anything organic that gets too close. Well, that's what the SCP Foundation says. What if this button is just any button? It just hasn't been pressed yet. It could be out in the world, and it's only a matter of time before someone presses it and we all die. Coming in at number 3 is SCP-2598. This SCP will forever go down in my books as one of the greatest of all time. I mean, it's cool when an SCP can take over the world, or is some force that will kill you at any moment, or has the ability to reshape reality, but it's even better when an SCP is just a dumb little bug. This SCP is a moth, and it has a little hat on, and it communicates in Morse code, and the whole time it talks to you is just trying to change the conversation back to the fact that it wants to sell you this little hat that it wears. Now, here's the thing. This could totally be real because how many of you out there speak Morse code? Not many of you. So a moth could be trying to talk to you in Morse code, and you wouldn't even know. On top of that, you probably just think it's a gross bug, and you wouldn't even give it the opportunity to finish its sentence. Yeah, dude, this thing could be out there. Coming in at number 2, we have SCP-5106. This is an SCP that I recently put on my list of newest SCPs. I love this SCP so much because it's hilarious. I also think it fits perfectly on this list because, well, just hear me out. So if you didn't watch the video about the newest SCPs, this SCP is a goose that can talk. It has full comprehension of the English language, and it can have deep, rich conversations with people. On top of this goose has the ability to control other animals. Now, we don't know if the goose can control other animals or if it can just talk to them and they understand what it says and then they listen to him, or if it has some sort of influence over the animals. Now, the reason that the SCP is on this list is because geese can sometimes be too smart for their own good. They are crafty little and it would seem that they can coordinate other geese to poop on your car. How many times do you come out and find bird turds all over your vehicle? And coming at the number 1 spot, we have SCP-027. This is one of the most disgusting SCPs I have ever heard about, and it could literally be any dead body that has ever existed. The Vermin God starts off as a virus. People think it could be something mystical. People really aren't sure. It will infect a person, and they will have the worst possible thing imaginable happen to them. Their body will be infested with rats that will slowly make a home inside them and kill them from the inside out. By the time this person dies, generations of rats will have made a home inside their body. And I thought getting a tapeworm would have been bad. Well, after you die, the rats will continue to use your body as a nice 2-bedroom home, and now insects will get involved. They will constantly be swarming around your body, and if anyone tries to get close enough to inspect the dead body with the mystical rodents living inside there, they will be swarmed by insects until they back off or are killed. That is a pretty horrible thing. All right, everyone, that is all we have for today's list. Now I'm going to answer some questions. Your boy Raqui.
Oh, hell no. Anyways, man, that's the end of the video. If you made it all the way through, make sure you like, comment, hit that subscribe button, hit that post notification bell so you know when I'm uploading. Get me to 65 soon, hopefully. All right. I'll catch y'all in the next one.